Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be making some amazing keto bread. I've made this bread several times now because before I do a video on it, I always want to or share it on Instagram or anything. I just want to make sure it's amazing. This stuff is bomb. So we're going to be making the bread. I have found the recipe. It was on YouTube and Pinterest and stuff like a few years ago, and now it's starting to kind of circulate and get back into rotation, I've seen. I've kind of modified it a little bit, but not too much from the original recipe, and it is amazing. So we are going to be making that today. I'll show you the ingredients, I'll tell you everything you need, and we will enjoy some amazing bread together. I like to use mine for either sandwiches, like subs, or we can use it for just throw some Kerrygold on it. I mean, no matter what you do, it's amazing, and it's great to have bread in our lives again. Who does not want bread in your life when you follow a ketogenic diet? So stick around. Be sure to like this video, share it, subscribe, and give this video a thumbs up if these are the kind of videos you like to see. And I will get right into the video and show you guys how to make this amazing bread. So stick around and learn how to make some awesome keto bread for your family.
Whenever your heart is broken, don't ever forget you're golden.
Okay guys, so here's what you're gonna need to make this bread. You're gonna need some almond flour. I just use the one, you can get it online or you can get it at Costco or whatever. I will link some almond flour down below. You just wanna make sure it's fine, like really fine ground almond flour. So I have that. We will have some nutritional yeast, and I will, like I said, link everything below for you. You will need whole psyllium husks, and you want to make sure you have the whole ones, not the flour. You will need some apple cider vinegar. You will need baking powder. You will need egg whites. You will need salt, and you will need some yeast. Now, normally this recipe, if you are familiar, if you're like a keto, expert or whatever, you've been doing it a while, you might know kind of where I'm going with this recipe. But a lot of times it calls for instant yeast, so you can use that as well. I just like this one better, and I've used it. I've used the instant and I've used this, and I don't find a difference at all for my personal use. And I like this because I can buy it in bulk and keep it right in my fridge. I have not found the instant yeast in a jar, and I just don't have the packets on hand because I just don't keep them on hand. I run out or whatever a lot easier, so I like having the jar because it's more like bulk. So you can use this one, or you can use active instant yeast as well, whichever one you want. So that is what we have. Oh, and we're going to use water. Some boiling water as well. Now, as far as the yeast goes, I'll tell you right now, because this is what caught me off guard when I was making this. This yeast is actually, it's not going to be to make these rise at all. So you won't need that for that. So don't worry about the boiling water killing the yeast, or there's no sugar in this for the yeast to eat as well. So the yeast is strictly for flavor, but I don't omit it because it's amazing and it really makes the recipe. So you're going to want that. The nooch in the back, nutritional yeast, nooch, whatever you want to call it, that is also for some flavor, and it also adds some B vitamins to your bread as well. It makes it really good. So everything has a purpose here. The only thing I would say that you could kind of alter a little bit if you wanted is if you wanted a little more nutritional yeast. It doesn't hurt to use a little more, but the recipe that I'm going to give you is like a double or triple recipe is what I always make, because the original recipe makes five rolls, I think 5 or 6 possibly, and that's just not, we have a family of 5 here, so I always make more than that. So I just wanted to show you guys everything, and the recipe I give you, I'll tell you how many it'll make, and I'll let you know all of that as we go. So those are the ingredients that you need. So you should have those gathered by now, or you can use the links in the description box to order any of those that you may not have, and then just come back to the video, once you have everything. But hopefully you'll have everything on hand, and we are able to get to the video today and make some of this amazing keto bread. Okay guys, so what you're gonna do when you have all your ingredients out is you're gonna start with your almond flour. You are gonna have 2.5 cups of almond flour. So you're gonna take them and just pour them into your mixer. Then what you're gonna add is your psyllium husks, and you're gonna have 2/3 cup of that. So you take those, pour them right in. Then you're gonna add your nutritional yeast, 3 tablespoons of that. Add it in. Take your baking powder, and we're gonna use 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Add it in. Your yeast, I used 2 teaspoons of yeast. Take your salt, 2 teaspoons of salt. And those are your dry ingredients. And then you're just gonna turn on your mixer or your hand mixer and just mix it up a little bit until it's all well incorporated. Okay, so you just mix it up a little bit. I always use the flat paddle. That's the one I like to use. Then we're gonna take our 2 cups of boiling water. I just boiled it on the stove and then put it in my measuring cup. And then we're just gonna pour that in as well. And leave it on low and pour in your water. Now, a lot of times when you make this, you're gonna hear complaining of like a wet dough in the middle. You have to let it mix for the right amount of time because you want the boiling water to penetrate the whole psyllium husks. So you do have to let it mix for quite a long time here. We're just gonna let it go and see if I can move it in a little bit for you guys to see better what it's gonna look like. And you'll see you can see the steam coming off. You can see how the dough is responding. I mean, you just want to let it go and let it mix for quite a while. And you can hear the mixer like start to have a little bit of a lag. That's what you want because that means it's getting, you can see how it's getting a little springy. You know, like doughy. I don't know the right adjectives, but doughy. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna let that go for just another minute or so. And while I'm doing that, I'm just gonna take my apple cider vinegar, and I have 4 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in here. And I'm just gonna add it to the eggs, the egg whites, and that's 6 egg whites. So now in this bowl we have 6 egg whites and 4 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in 6 egg whites. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna slowly add this into our mixture. And you can see how bouncy it is. And that's what you want. That's the texture you want as it starts to gelatinize and break up the psyllium husks. That's what you're looking for. So you're just gonna turn it on low and you're gonna take this and you're gonna pour it in slowly. Don't just dump it all in. We're gonna try to go like a little bit at a time. So we're just gonna drop a few of them in there. And if you watch your mixture, you're gonna see it separate and then come back together again. So it's okay if it starts separating like that. You can see how it gets all kind of like Play-Doh, but you can see how it all separates. And that's okay. Just keep mixing it and it'll form back together again like the ball that you want it to be. So just let it go and let it mix. And you can see it's already starting to form one big ball again. So So once it does that, you can look at it. We don't want to overmix with the eggs. We want the majority of the mixing to be done without the eggs and vinegar. So now that it's starting to form back together again and make like a big lump instead of all the little lumps, we're going to add the rest of the eggs. It's going to do the same thing again. It's going to break apart and then it'll come back together. That's okay. That's what you want it to do. And then you can pour the rest in. I'm gonna leave it kind of in real time instead of speeding it up, even though it's kind of difficult to watch. But when there's not a set time, it's kind of hard to gauge, you know, how long to let it mix. But you definitely want to make sure you're letting it mix for the right amount of time. So I'll show you now how it's a little bit different, but you can see how it's still, you know, bouncy like that. So we're just gonna scrape down the sides. Oops. And we're gonna go again and just mix it a little bit more. You definitely want to give it time to incorporate all the psyllium husks and give them time to like absorb all of the water. That's the whole point of how you're going to get those to do the reaction that you want them to do to get the bread right. So if you make this and your bread is too doughy in the middle or wet, you're gonna wanna mix it a little bit longer. If you over mix it with the eggs though, the tops of them will collapse and they will get like flattened or kind of weird looking on top, and you don't want that either. So I think we're good there. It is gonna be a little sticky to work with because it's an almond flour, and that's usually what you end up working with an almond flour. So we're just gonna have a little bowl of water off to the side that we can work with. So this looks like it's basically ready now, and you're just gonna scrape it all into a ball. There's no need to let it rise. The yeast, everything that we put in it was strictly just for flavor. It's not for rising purposes or anything like that. So now we're ready to move over to our pans to lay out the rolls. Okay guys, once you're done making your dough for your bread, you're gonna line 2 cookie sheets with parchment paper. Okay, your oven is preheating. It should be already preheated at this point. Now is the best time to go get this guy out of the fridge so that it can start to get nice and soft for when your bread's done. Because your bread's gonna take like an hour. So if you take this out now, it should be like perfection by time your bread is done, because this stuff is amazing with this melted all over the top of it. So we're gonna get on to that, setting that on the counter now. We have our sheets lined, and now we're going to make our bread. Dough, like our bread, into the rolls and put it in the oven. Okay guys, so this is what our dough looks like. So you just take it, and I use a cookie scoop is the way I do it. Now this one is the medium. I'm getting the large one soon. I think I had it, but it broke. And you can see this one's like falling apart too now, because these are like super old. But so this one is a medium, so I'm gonna use several scoops. But if you have a large, you might be able to get away with using less of them. So I just take it in and scoop it out, just a big chunk of it, and put it down. And I usually do about 2 of them together like that. So I'm gonna line all of this up, and then I will come back and show you guys what they look like, and we'll get them formed a little bit better as well. Okay guys, so you can see right now we have about 10 rolls. We have 6 on here and 4 on here. I'm gonna move them and do 5 and 5. So we have 5 on that one, 5 on this one, and then you can just take a little bit of water on your fingers. We have just a little bowl right here. Dip your fingers in like that to get them wet. And then you just kind of mold these shapes into the shape that you want it, which is just like a round, biscuit roll type shape. I don't really do a ton with them because they end up forming perfect the way they are. So I'm just gonna go through and form them out a little bit. Make sure they're all somewhat uniform. That's why I like to use the scoop as well, is to keep them somewhat uniform. So what I'm gonna do is just show you kind of what they look like here. You can see, you just mound them a little bit and they're gonna poof up and they'll get perfect the way that they are. So you really don't have to do a ton with them. So that's all I do, and then just form them, you know, you just kind of go like this a little bit and just tap them a little bit. Now is the time as well. If you have some everything but the bagel seasoning, you could put that on as well on the tops. I'm actually out of it right now, so I'm not gonna do that, but I will put some salt. I have some pink Himalayan sea salt, and I do coarse grind, so I just move the grinder up a couple notches, and I'm gonna put that all over the top of them as well, just to add a little bit of just some extra salt on the top of them. And you can add garlic or anything like that if you want on the top of them, but we usually wait until afterwards. We only use salt or everything but the bagel seasoning. So once you're ready to do that, I mean, the tops are still a little damp, so I just take this, like I said, you put it up, coarse grind it, and then I'm just gonna grind a little bit on the top of them. You don't have to do that, that's just something I like to do. And like I said, if I had the everything but the bagel seasoning, I would be putting that on there as well. Here's ours. I just keep it in my spice jar, but I mean, that's all she wrote. A little tiny bit. So we can do it on one of these just to show you, because I have enough to do one. So, and that's it. So the rest of this, I'm gonna have to buy some more of this. They did start selling this at Costco now, so hopefully I can get more of that. But you can see that you can just put a little bit right on there and that'll cook right up with the bread. So now we're gonna just put it into the oven. We have our oven set at 350. So we're just gonna put these into the oven now. And we're gonna come up and set our timer. I always set it for about an hour. So we're gonna start that, but we're gonna check them at about 50 minutes or so, because it's right around like 45 to 55 is what it says, but it never ends up being the 45. I always go a little bit longer. So we're gonna set it for an hour, but I'm gonna check it at 50. So if you wanna set it for 50, then do that. Okay guys, we're about halfway through, so I just wanted to show you what they should look like, what you should be expecting them to look like. This is about the halfway mark. Okay guys, so when it's time to take out your rolls, this is what they're gonna look like. Look at those. They look perfect. Okay. Those had about 7 minutes left on the timer. So they were about, what, 53 minutes or so. So right around the 55 mark. So we're just gonna take them out and let them cool. Now the bread has cooled down a little bit, and I will show you, this is what it looks like. The entire thing. You can hear it like a little hollow. So we're just gonna take our bread knife. And you can hear it slice just like real bread. Look at that. You can see, looks just like bread, tastes just like bread. It's amazing. And then you just take this and you put your meat on there, whatever you want on it, whatever kind of lunch meat, whatever, mustard, whatever you want, a burger, basically anything. And cut it. I cut it a little weird, it looks like now. But I'll cut another one to show you. I usually like to cut it but I was looking in the viewfinder instead of in the lens instead of the bun. But we'll do another one here. And you can see, same thing. So I like it a little bit smaller for the bottom one, there. And then a little bit thicker for the top one. That one looks like a heart. Aw. Heart bread. Yep. It smells amazing. It is just, it's perfect. So then you just take that, your bread, your Kerrygold, slather it on like so, and it melts and it's delicious. And we like to put like some garlic salt or onion salt or whatever, some garlic powder on it, and it is perfect. You can put it on the outside of them if you want, however you want, whatever you want to do. It's your choice. The possibilities are endless. But now you have amazing keto bread to make yourself whatever it is that you want to make. Look at that. It's so good. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys, like, if you take a bite out of it. So I put some butter on it. Take a bite out of it. I mean, you can see it's got like a crusty outer edge that works out perfect. You can see how like nice and fluffy it is on the inside. And then it's got that hard, not hard, but harder like crust on the outside. That is like straight up perfection for keto bread. It's amazing. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed making keto low carb bread with me. I have somebody that wants to be a taste tester here. So he's gonna try it out and tell you guys what he thinks. Try it out. What do you think? Perfect? Okay. Give me it back. I lost my bread. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video, share it, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.